Alright guys, so let me start with a little bit of a prologue to today's video. You see, I go into these videos, especially Tokyo Tuesdays, thinking that if I can make even one person's day just a little bit better, get a message across, something that I believe in, something that's improved my life, that'll be worth it. I went into this video a little hot. I had a strong message, and I get there. I get there. Bear with me. The message is in there. Alright, let's just get started. Welcome to Tokyo Tuesday. If you're a regular viewer, welcome back. So you want to make some friends? Maybe in Japan, maybe wherever you are? I can help you with that. At least I hope I can. Okay, actually this is less about helping you to make friends and more about something a little bit deeper. This video was triggered by some things that have been said to me recently that kind of had a bit of an impact. And I realized that a lot of people may have this mindset. And while to each their own is something that I believe very strongly in, I think that some of this might be a pretty big help to you guys. So I wanted to get it out there. Now, in order to do this, I need to tell you one or two stories that should help paint a bit of a picture. So let's start with the first time that I came to Japan. The first time that I came to Japan was in 2005. Now, for any of you who have been to Japan already or who have traveled to another country for the first time, that first time especially outside of your country, you're nervous, you're excited, you're happy, you know how you feel. You're looking around, you've got this weird little smile on your face, you know, you're making eye contact with people, you're curious. Of course, that's going to lead to more social interaction. One of the things that people often say is that, wow, Japanese people are so incredibly friendly. If it is your first time in Japan, especially if you traveled Japan in the 90s, 2000s, 80s, whenever it is, before technology got to where it is today, you could not walk into a train station and look up at the map without somebody coming up and saying, hey, do you need help? In fact, it is a well-known fact that in Japan, shop staff won't just point you where to go if you ask them for directions. Some of them will even take you there. It's wonderful. And the number of friends that I have made just sitting on either a bullet train or even a regular train would blow your mind. These little tiny experiences, my first time in Japan, I probably doubled or tripled the amount of people that I knew in this country just through these little interactions, just because I really wanted it. I wanted to get to know people. So having this experience, and a lot of people having this type of experience, especially when they first came to Japan, I had someone say to me the other day, you know, Japan's not as friendly as it once was. People just aren't like they used to be. People don't talk to you on the street anymore. No one talks to you on the train anymore. And this rung a little bell in my head for a few different reasons. But one of the big reasons is it brought back a little bit of a recent memory. You see, for regular viewers of the vlog, you'll know that I was just in Canada for 2 weeks. It was my first time to go back in 3 years. I did this video on reverse culture shock. I talked about how I was so amazed by how friendly the people in the city I was in were. Let me sidebar here and say I am incredibly fortunate. I am so grateful and filled with so much gratitude to have each and every one of you. I feel like I probably have the single best community surrounding my channel. The amount of love and positivity you guys leave in the comment section every single time just blows my mind. Why do you think I'm always trying to blow your mind? Because you're constantly blowing mine. Thank you. But that video in particular didn't get any negative comments, but it got a few comments that were less positive than usual. It had people saying like, you know what, Canada isn't all friendly. You're just in a friendly area. If you were to go to somewhere like Toronto, it wouldn't be as friendly as where you are. Don't stereotype all Canadians as being friendly. I think there are worse things to be stereotyped as than friendly. Side note, over. But this stuck out to me, and I wanted to see if that was right or if I had the ability personally to prove it wrong. I was going into Toronto maybe 2 days later, and just as I got into Toronto, I stopped at this camera shop. My camera had been acting up while I was in Canada. I thought maybe I'd take a look, see if I couldn't find a backup or something. I walked in, and this man named Brian greeted me from almost across the store, and he's like, "Hey man, how's it going?" I said, "Oh, really good." And this was the start right here. It was probably the most friendly greeting that I got in any shop that I had gone to in Canada, let alone in Toronto. And Brian and I talked, and we talked, and we talked, and we talked. I walked in there looking for camera gear, and I walked out with a new friend. I enjoyed this interaction with Brian so much that a few days later, when I was passing through Toronto again, I went out of my way just to stop at that camera shop and spend another chunk of my day talking to Brian. Now back to what we're talking about here. So let me tie that back into the first part of the story. The part where you're coming to Japan, you've got that air of positivity, and you're excited. All of these are part of it. When I walked into that camera store, I made a point to walk in there with an air of positivity. I went in there expecting the best, and I got way more than the best. Especially if you're coming to a part of Japan like Tokyo, it's all too easy, especially after being here for a while, to do the big city person thing, and I've been guilty of it myself. Block everything out. You stop making eye contact with people. You stop approaching people. You stop looking at signs. You stop asking for directions. You go from point A to point B, headphones in, looking at your phone, whatever it may be, and you stop interacting with the world around you. If you want to be part of the world around you, you need to interact with it. There's another really big one, and again, sorry, super obvious, but it's this one right here. Now, the entire talk of cell phones and what they've done for our world, all of that has been done. We all know that cell phones, especially smartphones, have added so much to our experiences. In fact, when I first came to Japan, I didn't have a smartphone when I traveled, and this both added to my experience and took away from it. I would have given anything to have Google Maps, but at the exact same time, I'm glad that I didn't have Google Maps, because this led to me having to walk up to people. This led to me having to ask questions, look at signs, have all these interactions that now are all completely limited out by my smartphone. If you want that experience, you can still make that experience for yourself. Instead of looking up where that restaurant is, approach someone on the street and ask. That person may give you directions and keep walking, or you may have just started a friendship. You never know. I feel like I'm just saying a lot of obvious stuff here, but really, if you want the experiences, seek them out. We've gone through two pretty big points here. Number one, keep that positive mindset, okay? Make the eye contact, smile. Number two, if you want the experiences, seek them out. I'm not going to say put away your smartphone and don't be a smartphone zombie, because it's not about that. Even having your smartphone, you can use your phone to get out there and meet people. You can use this to find local events and festivals and everything. And that brings me to the third and final main point, and that's, you've got to be hungry for it. You've got to want to meet people and want to make friends. If I go back to that Toronto trip, I guarantee you, if I had zero intention of meeting people, making friends, or proving that even Torontonians could be friendly, I would have had a very different experience. Something tells me I still would have met Brian, because, man, come on. But the experience as a whole would have been very, very different than it was. We all know that the older we get, the more difficult it gets to make friends. We get set in our ideas, we get set in our ways, we get our habits and rituals, we get busy with everything that life throws at us. And next thing you know, we've got our core group of friends. Maybe they get married, maybe they're going out and partying and you're the one getting married, and all of a sudden, meeting new people just kind of falls into the background, and before you know it, you're like, man, when was the last time that I made a new friend? These talks that I've had recently about, Japan isn't as friendly as it used to be. Yes, it is. Maybe you're just not as hungry as you used to be. Or, Toronto isn't as friendly as the countryside of Canada. Yes, it is. It's just a big city, and it's a ton of people doing what people do in big cities. They're just focusing on their world. When you have this giant hodgepodge of people, of course, you're going to have so many different personality types. The more personality types you have, the less mixture there is going to be between them. It creates this background hum, and we drown it out. Make eye contact. Go out and do stuff. Approach people. Ask for directions. Talk to the people next to you in restaurants. Be hungry, and just enjoy your life. If you really want to make friends in Japan or in any country, do that. There's more I want to say about this. I've got some really, really amazing stories about how I met some of the people that I know in my life now, or just incredible experiences I have had by making eye contact with somebody here in Japan. I don't want this video to go on for 20-30 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that in a podcast for you that will be linked in the video description. It seems a lot of you have actually come over to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you. For those of you who haven't, what we're doing with the podcast is we're using it as an opportunity to go a little deeper on some of these topics and share a few more background stories, information, whatever it might be, so that we can kind of control the length of the videos. So let me summarize here, because I don't feel I did it as eloquently as I would have liked to in the video. It comes down to three main things. Number one, don't go into the situation expecting the worst. You don't have to go in expecting the best like I did, but at least go in neutral. Positive things can happen. Number two, your phone can be your best friend or your worst enemy, but in the end, it's gotta be a choice. And number three, just stay hungry for it. I know those might sound obvious, and they are, but all of them take effort, and it wasn't until I clued into them and I started making the effort in my own life that in Japan or wherever I went, that it became easier to connect with people. And since it's something that's so important, it's had such an impact on me, I wanted to share that with you guys. All talking aside, that is it for today. As always, if you liked it, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. If you're new, super happy to have you. Hit that subscribe button. Check out the podcast. We're going real anecdotal in the podcast today. I'm giving you guys some real background stories to where all of this has applied. Anyways, thank you, and we'll see you guys soon.